What's up, y'all? It's yours truly, Kevin Key Speaks. And today I'm going to break down one of these buzzwords called healing. We hear it all the time, right? I'm healing. You need to heal. This is my healing journey. That person right there has gone through a lot of healing. What does that even mean, right? And I think so much gets lost in translation to where people that would actually benefit from the healing journey don't get to heal because they don't even know they hurt. I remember the time when I was talking to my therapist and he said, "I'm so sorry that you went through all this abuse." And I was like, "What are you talking about? Abuse? Like, I haven't been abused. I don't have any, physical wounds, any sexual things or any type of traumas or what are you talking about, right?" Because I didn't understand that there's lots of different types of abuse, right? You can be psychologically abused, you could be sexually abused, obviously, physically abused, spiritually abused. There's so many different types of abuse. You could be used, as they say, used and abused. You could be abused on your job from people just working you to death. You can be abused in friendships, people taking advantage of you. There's all different types of abuse, right? And until we actually start to put language on it, we don't really know when we're abused. And so the interesting thing about that is when you sit and process it, abuse is simply admitting that you got hurt, typically by somebody that you trusted. That's really at the root of it. That's really, abuse is a wound. It's a scar. It is a place in you that has lost trust, that has lost faith, that has lost hope, that's no longer vulnerable or open in those areas. And so the healing process is really first acknowledging the hard part that somebody got close enough to you and hurt you. That's the first step, is acknowledging that I've been hurt. And now that I've been hurt, I have to process that. I have to then go through the stages of, why did I let this happen? Or why did they do this to me? Or, what could I do different? Was there anything I could have done different? And then ultimately just accept the fact that it happened. And then you got to take stock in, how did it change me? Because whenever anything traumatic happens to you, regardless if you know it or not, you're never the same person. And so you've got to take the steps to, one, bury and grieve the person that you used to be before this even happened. You have to make peace with the fact that that person will never be the same again. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Because whenever you go through stuff, there's an opportunity to learn. There's an opportunity to grow. There's an opportunity to become something better. That right there is the healing process. It is taking the steps to acknowledge what's happened, to be able to process how it's changed you, and then to make a decision on how you're going to move forward. A lot of times we get stuck in not acknowledging it, pretending it never happened. And that's where you typically just bury it and sweep it under the rug, which ultimately doesn't help, because regardless if you acknowledge it or not, it's still going to impact your life. The people around you know that you're different. You're just refusing to look in the mirror and acknowledge that something has changed. So why is it so hard to move forward? I think the biggest part is the acknowledging, once again, that somebody that you trusted hurt you. And it's very difficult to wrap your brain around why they would do that to you. And so I think instead of looking at why they would do that to you, I think it's more beneficial to look at how it impacted you. And then being able to say, if this impacted me negatively, and I've, let's say, for example, lost myself, I stopped doing some of the things that I love to do, I guess you say, no longer hung out with my friends. I didn't, do any of my hobbies or any of these things. What is the person I am now going to do? Like, the person that I've become on the other side, am I going to stay the way I am, which is not doing anything, in this loop, being stuck? Or am I going to start trying to reach out and to become something better with who I am now? I think it's important to take an assessment in, what do you like now? What don't you like now? And be able to make peace with the fact that you have changed. And I think once you make peace with the fact that you've changed, now becomes the journey of being able to learn what this new person needs. Because the person that you were needed different things than the person you are today. And it can be a fun journey in learning yourself again. I think one of the hardest things after acknowledging hurt is being able to sit with yourself. That's really like one of the most important steps, actually, is being able to sit in peace and wrestle with some of your own thoughts, right? The instant, I guess, gratification that most people do is they try to drown it out. They try to either drink, or they try to, have quick relationships that don't necessarily, help them. It just fills a space. Or they try to fill it up with work, or any of these different types of things. But ultimately, you still have got to do the work, which involves sitting with yourself and being able to listen, one, to the voices. You need to hear what the voices are saying so that you can fight them. It goes back to one of my other videos where I talk about the enemies of yourself, the anxiety, the doubt, the, self-defeating, talk. Be able to hear what the wounds are saying to you so that now you can combat them with truth. And the truth is, you can survive this. You can become better. You can learn to laugh again. You can learn to smile again, and it be authentic. I know a lot of us are, in this social media stuff where we're trying to paint this inauthentic picture. And we want to try to convince everybody that this is really who we are, and this happiness or this fake happy is the reality. And it's not. Some of us, like what I ended up doing, I took a break off of social media and I just worked on myself. I just focused on, one, processing everything that happened to me, then understanding how it impacted me. And after that, making a decision to evolve into something else. And here's the thing, you get to choose the identity that you want to be. This is your life. This is your next steps. And I think that's why it's so important to take the time to yourself, because you need to be in a quiet place where you don't have all these outside influences telling you who you need to be, what you need to do, and so forth. You need to get to a place where you get comfortable with the quiet, where you can get comfortable in being, where you don't have to have any type of stimulation for you to be able to sit with yourself. And that's hard, because when you start to sit with yourself in the healing process, you're going to start thinking about all the different things that's happened, all the different things that you thought, all the different things that you envisioned, all the different things that you planned, before this event happened, whatever the event was. And you're going to have to grieve those dreams and those hopes that ultimately didn't go the way that you thought. And then once you grieve those, you're going to have to make room for who you want to become. This yours truly, Kevin Key Speaks. It's not an easy process by any stretch of the imagination. But the only person you're holding up in not taking the time to heal is the person that ultimately you want to become. Staying stuck is not going to get you anywhere. Reliving all these cycles and these loops is not going to get you anywhere. Healing, acknowledging, accepting, processing, deciding who you want to become, that's going to be some real foundational steps that you can take to get to the next place. Yours truly, Kevin Key. This yours truly, Kevin Key Speaks again. It's difficult, but forward, not back. You got this. Keep it crispy out there, y'all. See you next time.